Good evening. I would like to welcome everybody to our January 24th, 2023 school board meeting. If I could have you all join me for the invocation and pledge of allegiance, and Bishop Mincy, if you would lead us in the invocation.
And we bow our heads. Kind Father, in Jesus' name, we are thankful for the gift of this another wonderful day. God, you're so good to us that you blessed us last night while we slumbered, while we slept. While we were unconscious to the world, you suffered no hurt, harm, or danger to come to us, neither to our dwelling. But early this morning, you touched us and started us on this day, and we want to say thank you for it. Thank you, oh God, that we are so blessed to be gathered in this room again, this school board, Polk County Public Schools. Thank you for the superintendent, for his deputy. Thank you for all of the staff. Thank you, oh God, for every school in this district, every teacher, every principal, every para, every lunchroom worker, every custodial worker, every bus driver, every bus aide. We thank you, oh God, for all of the students and their families. We ask you, Lord Jesus, for your mercy and for your strength and your guidance and your protection. Thank you for all of the things that you've already done for us. And we look for greater things as we go forward in this year of 23. Now, Lord, I ask that you would be in this meeting. Let everything that we do today bring glory, bring honor to your wonderful name. And we will tell you thank you for all things. In the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
And now I'd like to call up Kalani Major to lead us in the pledge. Whenever you're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated, except for you. How's it going today?
Good?
And I just want to make sure, did I say your name right, Kalani?
Yes.
Awesome. So I hear that you are a student at Bella Cita Elementary. What grade are you in?
Fourth.
Fourth? And what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you know yet? What do you want to be?
A teacher.
A teacher. Awesome. Superintendent Hyde, can we get her to sign a contract before she leaves tonight? Do you know what you want to teach? Science? All right, there you go. And I hear that you also have a passion for art. What type of art do you like?
I don't really know.
Like drawing and painting or singing and dancing?
I like drawing and painting.
Very nice. That's awesome. I do not have any art skills, so I'm always very impressed with those who do. And what is your favorite subject in school?
Science.
Science. There you go. Superintendent Hyde, I think we got one. So did you bring any guests with you tonight?
Yes.
Can you introduce them to us?
My grandma and my principal.
Your grandma and your principal. Stand up. Well, thank you so much for bringing this beautiful student to come in and lead us in the pledge tonight. And Kalani, thank you so much for helping us out tonight. We hope you have a great rest of your school year.
Thank you.
And you can sit down now. All right, the first order of business will be to accept the school board agenda. Superintendent Hyde, do we have any revisions?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. Several revisions this evening. Item B as in boy, number 2, Black History Month proclamation items were added to that item. Item F1, new administrators, attachments were included. Item F2, administrative moves, an item was added. Item I2, civic literacy excellence, pathways to public service, federal grant sub-award from Polk State College, attachments were updated. Item I-5, insurance and risk management, the FEMA grant for federal assistance for Hurricane Ian. Items were added. Item K2, McLaughlin Middle School name amendment, moved from consent to action. Item P1, purchase of Qualtrics LLC teaching and learning. Items temporarily removed and will come back at a subsequent date. Item Q7, pending 2023, 2024, 2024, 2025. Instructional calendar for teachers, students, and paraeducators was added this evening. That concludes the adjustments or amendments for this evening, ma'am.
Thank you, Superintendent Hyde. And I'll hear a motion to accept the school board agenda for this evening.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the noted revisions for January the 24th, 2023.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. Can I get a second?
Second.
Dr. Allen, any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Fields?
Superintendent Hyde, I don't remember if action agenda 7, was that discussed in work session, or it's just something that we had to put on the agenda to expedite things?
We were working to expedite that. It did go through the formal approval process prior to the publication of the board agenda. However, due to illness of one of our senior administrators, it was delayed in its posting. So based off the advice of legal counsel, we will simply hold the final vote for that until the subsequent meeting. We became aware of concerns with this from the community between our meetings.
Okay.
I think were you talking about the calendar? Or
I'm talking about
Qualtrics.
the calendar,
She's
Oh.
talking about Q7, which was the
I
calendar.
apologize.
Q7.
Q7, it had been discussed that this item would be brought before the board. If you recall from our last board meeting, I had promised bringing this. There's only one part remaining in this that does not impact the calendar in its totality. It only impacts the first week of pre-planning for teachers. That item will be finalized by the 30th of this month. So the board, in essence, is pre-approving the calendars moving forward with no further modifications, with the exception of that first week flexibility for teachers as to which days will be teacher planning days independent and which days will be directed professional development provided by the school district.
Okay, thank you for the clarity.
Any other discussion? Ms. Cunningham?
I'll wait, well, yeah. I'll wait till we get to the item. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next on our agenda will be special recognitions, and I will turn it over to Superintendent Hyde.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the board, members of committee and staff, thank you for being here this evening. At this time, I would like to ask respectfully that school board member Dr. William Allen please make his way down to participate in special recognitions. At this time, I'd also like to ask Steve Cochran, Senior Director of Multiple Pathways in Education, to please come forward for the Career and Technical Education Month proclamation. We will respectfully ask Mr. Sharpless, board member, to read the proclamation.
Proclamation, Career and Technical Education Month. School Board of Polk County, Bartow, Florida. Whereas February 1st through the 28th, 2023 has been designated Career and Technical Education Month by the Association for Career and Technical Education. And whereas Florida requires a skilled workforce to meet the rapidly evolving demands of our current workforce, which provides essential services and ensures future growth and economic opportunity in our state. And whereas Polk County Public Schools provides robust career and technical education programs, offering students opportunities to gain the academic, technical, and employability skills necessary for true career readiness. And whereas students in career and technical education programs participate in authentic, meaningful experiences that improve the quality of their education and increase their engagement and achievement. And whereas career and technical education provides students with career exploration opportunities earlier in their educational experience, which enables them to make informed and beneficial decisions about their academic coursework and pursue established programs of study and career pathways. And whereas leaders from business and industry nationwide report an increasing skills gap and challenges connecting qualified professionals with available careers in critical and growing CTE-related fields, including healthcare, energy, advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity, and information technology. And whereas Polk County Public Schools supports the Career Academy model, which prepares students for fulfilling careers by integrating traditional academic coursework with career and technical education programs that link secondary and post-secondary education and lead to the attainment of industry-recognized credentials. And whereas career and technical education programs ensure that employers have access to a qualified and thriving workforce, ensuring America is a strong and competitive economy. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the School Board of Polk County hereby proclaim February 2023 as Career and Technical Education Month in Polk County, Florida, and urge all citizens to become familiar with the services and benefits offered by the career and technical education programs in this community, and to support and participate in these programs to enhance their individual skills and productivity.
Next, I'd like to ask Mr. Herbert Dixon to please come forward to receive the proclamation for Black History Month. We will also ask respectfully Ms. Kay Fields, board member, to read the proclamation for us. At the same time, Chandra Hall, Senior Director of Equity and Diversity, will share some words about the accomplishments of Mr. Dixon.
If you, okay. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to read the proclamation for Black History Month. And in addition to that, it's an honor and a privilege to honor Mr. Herbert Dixon, and I'm sure that Ms. Hall will give some information on his background. But I want to just thank God for Mr. Herbert Dixon. Whereas February, Black History Month, is a time to set aside to honor the legacies and achievements past and present generations of African American citizens and their roles in shaping our American history. Whereas Polk County Public Schools acknowledge and celebrate African American history during this month and will continue to embrace opportunities to celebrate and acknowledge local and national contributions throughout the year. And whereas Polk County Public Schools serve over 107,000 students and employ over 13,000 workers, we recognize that African American students make up 20% and employees 17% of our population respectively that are making ongoing contribution towards history. And whereas the Polk County School District will continue to encourage all stakeholders to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture while continuing efforts to create a world that is more equitable, peaceful, and prosperous for all through education. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the School Board of Polk County, Florida, that we designate and choose the month of February 2023 as Black History Month. Thank you.
Should be Ms. Hall.
I think it's on.
You're good.
And of all days, my voice is going, but I have.
It's on now.
It's on, and they just wait for you.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. So I could not, congratulations, by the way, Mr. Dixon. This is such an honor. Again, my name is Chandra Hall. I wanted to share a few things about Mr. Dixon and his accomplishments. By the way, he's been with us for 103 years, so I can't get it all in, but I'm certainly going to try. And then I shuffle my papers up. All right. It is our honor, it is a pleasure to honor and recognize Mr. Herbert Dixon for all of his accomplishments as we approach Black History Month of February 2023. Mr. Dixon is an accomplished and esteemed golfer who has made history locally and beyond. At the young age of 103, he has made and continued to make history. Mr. Dixon was born in 1919 on September 16th in Dade City, Florida. He's a product of Polk County Public Schools, graduated as valedictorian at Union Academy. He was a truck driver for many, many years, but when he retired, guess what? He came back to work at two of our local magnet schools as a security officer. So Lincoln, if you have anybody here from Lincoln, and Rochelle, he was a security at that school for quite some time. First, I want to point out that he is a father, and he is a grandfather, a great-grandfather, and I might leave out some, great-great-grandfather, and he loves his family dearly. Mr. Dixon has been playing the game of golf for over 80 years. That's 8 decades. He received his first golf club at the age of 15 when he was working as a caddy at the Bartow Golf Course. While prior to desegregation, he was not allowed to play on that course, but he took the opportunity on that one day that they allowed the caddies to practice, and he honed his skills. Since that time, he has won over 55 tournaments. He has been inducted in the Black Golfers Hall of Fame, to name a few, West Palm Beach in North Carolina. He has also been presented the key to the city of Bartow and the city of Lakeland. And just recently, Mr. Dixon had one of the and I might get it wrong, the driving ranges? Is that right? One of the driving ranges at Bartow Golf Course named after him in his honor. And finally, there is a golf tournament that happens annually in Lakeland in honor of Mr. Dixon, and we give out scholarships to students in our local community. So it is indeed an inspiration to us all, and it's a true testament to see how hard work, living healthy, and being positive pays off. It is our honor to honor him for Black History Month. Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Thank you, and I just couldn't hold it. Mr. Dixon is also my granddaughter's great-great-grandfather, so I'm so pleased. This is extra special for me today, so thank you. And now, may I have Ms. Janiyah McAllister from Harrison School of the Arts come forth? And as she's coming, I just wanted to share, Mrs. McAllister has been so gracious every time I've invited her out to speak or perform. She's come out. Mr. Hyde had a pleasure of hearing her sing at the annual MLK essay contest at Board of County Commissions. And she had such nice and inspiring words to share about Polk County schools and how she's benefited from being educated in our school district. And he wanted to invite her out to share a few words with you all. So Janiyah, Mr. Levine has shared you with us today. So if you would like to have a few words, please.
Yes. First, I would like to say thank you so much for inviting me here again, Mr. Superintendent. And I would just like to give a big thank you to Polk County Schools for caring for the arts and for allowing students to see the changes that it can make in your life. I wasn't really exposed into the arts until I auditioned for Davenport School of the Arts. And that was where my arts and my love for arts really started to bloom. I started in chorus, and they do musicals, and that's where I did my very first musical. And and it has brought me very, very far. It was the launch pad for me auditioning for Harrison School for the Arts in Lakeland, which I now attend. I major in musical theater, and I feel that Polk County is really the reason that I was able to fulfill a lifetime dream I had this summer, which was performing on Broadway for the first time in my life at the age of 16 years old before I turned 17. So I just am extremely grateful that we have a board and a county and everyone who cares and truly has a passion and is willing to, push forward the importance of the arts and acknowledge the change and the positivity that it can bring to our world, which is something that we, of course, really need now. And I am just extremely grateful, and I just can't say it enough. And it's such a great honor to be a student at Polk County Schools and to be a student leader. And thank you again so much.
Members of the board, if you have not had the pleasure and opportunity to see this young lady perform, you are truly missing out. And you need to get to Harrison to see something that she's in. She performed not only written prose, but she also sang for us at the NAACP event in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And what an amazingly talented young lady. And what great grace and poise. I mean, to stand up there and speak as eloquently as she did, clearly we're doing something right. So thank you for being here this evening.
I have to throw a plug. Winter Haven Theater. She is currently performing in Dreamgirls.
She steals the show.
You've seen her. Yeah, she's amazing.
You need to go see her. She's so incredibly talented. So talented. Could listen to her sing all night.
Madam Chair, that concludes recognition
Sorry.
for this evening.
Sorry, I got so excited and distracted by Janiyah that I lost my place. All right. Next section of our agenda is public comments. This will be the first opportunity for public comments this evening. We will have 3 opportunities. The second will be during our public hearing portion of the agenda. And then at the end of the meeting, we'll have an additional opportunity for public comment items that are not on this evening's agenda. As a reminder, to register to speak, community members must fill out a speaker card in the lobby prior to the meeting. All speakers will be given 3 minutes. The clock will give you a warning when you have 1 minute left. All comments should be directed to myself as the board chair. As a reminder, public comments are an opportunity for us to hear your thoughts and comments. It is not a question and answer session. However, if you're seeking additional information, I encourage you to contact us or the superintendent's office outside of board meetings, and we'd be happy to have deeper conversations. Before we begin, there is a little yellow line over here, so I'll call the speaker and then the on-deck person. So if you are on deck, if you could make your way over to this side, that way we can keep it moving smoothly. So first will be Glinda White, and on deck will be Royal Brown.
Good evening, everyone. May I just say that young lady that was just up here has a serious radio voice. She is amazing. Okay, anyway, I'm getting ready. My name is Glinda White. I'm a Polk County resident, and I'm speaking regarding item Q6 on the action agenda. I'm asking the school board to please table this purchase of the books until all have been reviewed and approved or removed where needed. The 2 new schools have been approved and in the construction process for a long time. And I feel the book list should have been put out for public inspection long ago, since it's 37,000 books. I feel like poor planning on the part of the Polk schools is not the fault of the public, but it is the fault of Polk schools. If the schools have to open without books in their media center, the fault belongs to Polk schools' project managers, and they should be held accountable for this if necessary. I have no doubt that the vast majority of the books will be fine. However, we've reviewed about 4,000 of the books on this list, and we were already finding titles that are going to be problematic. Last year, the school board, minus our 2 new board members, proved themselves untrustworthy with the safety of our kids from harmful materials, so the public has stepped in. The month of January is being used to train media personnel to review books and approve them according to Florida standards. So I'm asking that each of these books be used or reviewed by trained staff who can be held accountable if they allow harmful books into the media centers. If they have to review all 37,000, I'm sorry, but the public has to as well, and 1 month is simply not enough time to review 37,000 titles. The school board has an opportunity to allow volunteers to assist in reviewing and in the process save thousands of man-hours and dollars to allow us to help you. And I don't mean a review committee. That did not work out well the first time. Please do not approve the purchase of these books until each book has been reviewed and approved by trained media personnel, and until the public has had a fair chance to review the books. I realize the policy allows 30 days for the public to review the books, but for this many titles, it's simply not enough time. So we're asking you, please, to put this on hold and allow us some time to really review these books. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Royal Brown, and then on deck is Lola Smith. And just to clarify, the little yellow, there's a yellow line on the side too. I did not realize there was also one on the center, so I apologize.
Good afternoon. My name is Royal Brown III of Winter Haven. I'm a retired Polk County Public School teacher, former Teacher of the Year at Winter Haven High School, and finalist for Polk County Teacher of the Year. Florida State Board of Education approved a rule to carry out a new state law requiring school library employees to complete training sessions as part of an effort to increase scrutiny of library books and instructional materials. This was deemed necessary based on numerous challenges to books containing sexually explicit content. Governor DeSantis last year signed into law House Bill 1467, requiring school boards to adopt procedures that provide for the regular removal or discontinuance of books based on factors such as alignment to state standards. The rule modifying library employee training stems from this law. Paul Burns, Deputy Chancellor for Education Quality with the State Department of Education, recently told members of the Education Board, and I quote, "We have seen time and time again questionable and inappropriate materials that have entered our schools. The required training focuses in part on content that would be considered harmful to minors under a separate Florida law. For instance, all library books and learning materials must be free of pornography and appropriate for the grade levels and age groups of students to which they are made available. Additional guidelines for employees that center on the selection of instructional materials, library books, and reading lists require avoiding unsolicited theories that may lead to student indoctrination. Indoctrination includes teaching Marxist critical race theory, which is based on the false premise that our American society, including our public schools, practice systemic racism, that there are no absolute truths, and that individuals are either oppressors or victims. This is not state-sanctioned censorship, nor is it about banning books. It's about ensuring minor children in our public schools are not being provided books and materials that are simply age inappropriate. As our elected school board members, you must ensure these 30,000 plus books being purchased for these two new school media centers, as well as those already in Polk County Public School media system, are in compliance with these rules requiring training to scrutinize library books and instructional materials for age appropriateness and to ensure they meet state standards. Thank you.
Thank you. Lola Smith, and on deck is Emmett Purvis.
My name's Lola Smith. I'm 11 years old, and I go to Denison Middle School here in Polk County. When I saw that you would be discussing library books today, I felt compelled to come and speak to you. This subject is very near and dear to my heart. My own elementary school librarian, Miss Bourne, played a huge role in my love for reading, and I'm eternally grateful for that. In the book, Don Quixote, the hero has created an entire world in his mind. In this world, he is a traveling knight. He invites Sancho to be his squire. Sancho, however, thinks he is crazy, because he believes himself capable of anything. When Sancho turns down his offer, Don Quixote points out that many knights are rewarded by kings with kingdoms of their own, and their squires are often made governors. Sancho basically replies, "Me? I could be a governor?" And Don Quixote responds, "Quien lo dudaría?" Who would doubt it? This basically means, why not? And that is the underlying message of the story. Don Quixote's inexhaustible belief that all things are possible, despite all the evidence to the contrary. And that is what students need today. They need books that represent them, that tell them all the things that they can accomplish, all the things that they can be. With the state passing laws that tell LGBTQ plus youth we are not valid, with whitewashing and removal of real history from our classroom, so much evidence is telling marginalized communities, especially young people here in Florida, that we don't matter, that we can't do things. We need to believe in ourselves, now more than ever. Quien lo dudaría? Why not? And nothing teaches us that quite like books. Books that represent us. Books with black and brown heroes, gay and trans heroes, poor, disabled, female, and marginalized heroes. The school board website lists its vision as the following. All students will receive the knowledge and skills necessary to be productive citizens. And maybe that's the problem. We're not means of production. We are people. We are dreamers. We are beings bursting with all the potential in the universe. Please don't stifle that. Please don't tell us what we can't be. In times when the very state we live in is telling us all the things that we can't be, books shout back, "Quien lo dudaría?" Why not? Ironic considering Don Quixote is one of the many books being banned in schools and libraries around the world. Polk County students deserve better. We deserve representation in our libraries. Please don't let us down. Thank you.
Next is Emmett Purvis, and on deck is Bobby Dees.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson, school board members, Superintendent Hyde. I'm Emmett Purvis, and I live at 655 East Stewart here in Bartow. I'm here this evening to thank the school board members, and especially Mrs. Cunningham, for extending the time for reviewing the 37,000 new books for the new school's libraries. However, we still need more time. And I would especially like to thank Pam Luce for taking the lead in volunteers from CCDF and the Winter Haven 912 project and any others that I may have missed. I sincerely hope and ask that this board will extend the time for this extremely important part of a child's development, education, and moral character. Again, thanks for all involved in reviewing these books. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Purvis. Next is Bobby Dees, and on deck is Jeremiah Githu.
Evening. My name is Bobby Dees, and I'm from Winter Haven. The process of this book review not only removes inappropriate subject matter, but it lets us know that our children will be using quality books of academics that will enhance their education instead of dragging them down in the name of equity. You paid people to conduct this book review and paid for their training to do it. Let them complete their job. It's good to know that CCDF, County Citizens Defending Freedom, has volunteered to review some of these books and have already found some containing CRT, critical race theory. By pushing the vote now would be negating your responsibilities to the public.
Thank you, Mr. Dees. Next is Jeremiah Githu, and then on deck is Pam Luce.
Hello there. My name is Jeremiah Githu from Polk County. We have seen in the recent years where Ron DeSantis has been cracking down on anything not straight or white. From HB 1557, dubbed the I Don't Say Gay bill, from the recent ban on medical transitioning by the Florida School Board of Medicine. Here in Florida in December for anyone under the age of 18. I am here to speak on behalf of the community that you continue to censor, oppress, ostracize, and eradicate. That when you say books like these that are targeting LGBTQ people and the marginalized communities only harm us more. I can confidently say within my limited years of 17 years in the public education system that I have always been taught age-appropriate material in school. Maybe instead of focusing on this hypothetical issue, maybe wonder why our district's education rate has dropped within 3% in the last year. Or the fact that my brother has had 3 different teachers in his first semester of school because the teachers are underpaid, overworked, and underfunded. If our literature is banned, why not restrict our speech? Why not disband our gay straight alliance clubs? Why not force LGBTQ youth to hide who they truly are and out them to their parents? And why not subject them to the abuse and harassment from their peers and, with your help, raise the suicide rate and equal it to the dropping graduation rate? Because I still have a bit more time, I'm going to read off recent legislation from the most recent year, 2023, regarding transgender people, including transitioning, all of the above. Which, by the way, Florida has not opened up their legislation meetings yet, so there's much more to come. In Alaska, HB 27 designates sex for school-appropriate sponsored sports. Basically means gender, sex equals biological sex. Arizona, women's shelters, male employees, liability. Arizona, pronouns, biological sex, school policies. Every person has to be referred to by their biological sex and biological sex only, which is extremely discriminatory towards, I don't know, if someone wants to be named, if someone wants to be called Mike instead of Michael, we can't do that. Easy as that. They're banning drag shows. We have seen recent attacks on drag shows from over in Lakeland, very local, of alt-right and neo-Nazis attacking. And if we let this happen here, it will get worse, and it will keep progressing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Pam Luce, and on deck is Robert Goodman.
Good evening. I too want to say thank you all so much for allowing the extra 30 days for the book review this last month. It was very much appreciated. We've gotten through about 15,000 books, and 7,500 I've reviewed those myself, so it is a very, very daunting task. We understand that, or I hope you understand that we still have a lot to go. I don't know what you can do about that, but I did send you a list of some of the ones that we have found, and they're not only just about trans or they're not only just about CRT, but some of these things were just abhorrent to me for a child to read. An elementary school, a child about violence of child trafficking, slaughter, demon possession, a father dying after having an affair. You know, does an elementary school child really need to be reading that? Murder of a baby, capture of an 8-year-old girl in Stockholm Syndrome in an elementary school. The ship attacked and girls and parents are gruesomely murdered and she's taken as a slave. Does an elementary school does a child really need to be reading about that? I mean, there's so much more, and we do have to protect our children. We do have to watch out for what they're seeing, and this is about parental rights. This is what this is about. This is about my right, if I were still a parent of young children, or even just being a grandparent, that we have concerns about what our children are seeing and hearing. And as I said before, as I used to say to my youth group, what you see and hear is there forever. So we've got to guard our children's hearts and their minds. So I appreciate very much what you've done, but one of the things is that when these books came out, the training for library specialists, media specialists, had not come to fruition yet. I sat in on all of the state board meetings on the library books, and the media specialists. And another thing is that we would love to have a conversation with you all about possibly a rating system. Maybe this is a way that parents can say, well, I don't want my child to see 4s or 5, anything rated 4 or 5, 3, 4, or 5, and I only want them to see this. This is a conversation that we would love to open up with you to see if we can come up with a solution where you'll stop seeing us at these meetings. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Goodman?
Okay, I'm going to try not to take up the whole time because a lot of people have said the same thing. I do want to thank each and every one of you for tabling the over 30,000 books from last month. And I also request that we have 30 more days to review. We've reviewed 15,000 books in 30 days. We can easily review the other 20,000 in another 30 days if you could just table this for that amount of time. But I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing us to have that extra 30 days. So far, we found about 20 books in violation out of 15,000, which is not a huge percentage, but it is some. We are happy to help. We're happy to be, we're happy to help you do your job. There's no way as board members you can go through 37,000 books yourself. So we will get volunteers and we offer to help you with that. And we want to be an asset to you. I also do want to celebrate that you're applauding Black History this month, but I want to remind you that Black History should not be relegated to 1 month. We should celebrate Frederick Douglass and Martin Luther King every single month. Black History is just American history. So though I do like that we do Black History Month, I think American history needs to just be American history, and it needs to not be so divisive. Frederick Douglass is something that you shouldn't have to study in February. You should study him in September, October, November, and December as well. We did review several book rating systems that are out. All of them have their pros and all of them have their cons. We're trying to work with the different companies and get some assets together. And I would love for Pam and I to have the opportunity to meet with you individually and show you some of those things. I think there was a board member and I that discussed that if there was a rating system, it would take a lot of pressure off you and you wouldn't have to see people complaining about them all the time. So we're trying to find that so that it can help you. So thank you for letting us help you, and please give us an additional 30 days to review. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Next on our agenda will be approval of the minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes to approve today. The first will be for December 13th, 2022 school board meeting. And I'll hear a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Ms. Miller and Ms. Fields. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next will be approval of the minutes for the December 13th, 2022 work session.
Move approval.
Ms. Fields and Ms. Miller. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. The third set of minutes is, we'll seek approval for the minutes from January 10th, 2023 work session. Ms. Miller and Dr. Allen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next, we'll move for approval. I'll seek a motion for approval of our consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Ms. Miller and Ms. Fields, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Superintendent Hyde, do we have some new administrators you'd like to introduce?
We do, Madam Chair. Please welcome Ms. Tina Chapman, Assistant Principal at Frostproof Ben Hill Griffin Elementary, who's now been promoted to Acting Principal at Frostproof Ben Hill Griffin Elementary. Is she with us? There she is. You want to come say a few words, or? You have family with you? Who's with you? Well, congratulations. You've done an outstanding job. And thank you for supporting her. We appreciate it a great deal. That's what happens when you sit in the middle. I wouldn't have come up to the microphone. Ms. Tasha Baker Cunningham, Curriculum Specialist in Curriculum and Instruction, is being promoted to Director of Magnet Schools. Please come to the mic. And please don't forget, I always remind you, don't forget if you have family and loved ones here to recognize them, because...
I will.
All right.
Okay, well, I'd like to say, first of all, I'm a product of Polk County Public Schools, and my entire educational career has been here at Polk County Public Schools, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. I have with me my husband, Mr. Warren Cunningham, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, Ms. Vivian Browning and John Browning, my mother, Margaret Baker, and in the back I have my sister, Nichelle Baker, and our dearest family friend, Mr. Samuel Bryant.
Congratulations. And I do see our next administrator in the audience. Mr. Dart Myers, principal at Frostproof Ben Hill Griffin Elementary School, is being transferred, and he will be the new principal of the new 21C site. Congratulations, sir.
I also thank Superintendent High and Deputy Superintendent Green for this opportunity. Lived in the Winter Haven area for 20-plus years and back in that school. And I'd like to thank Ms. Barnes. I worked with her this past semester under her leadership. And I'd like to look forward to working with Ms. Nave. She's in back there in her region as we work together and getting the school open in August to get started there. So, again, thank you.
Do you have any family with you this evening?
No, my wife, Amy Heisenmeyer's principal of Horizons Elementary with schedules. She's able to be here, plus her grandmother's 95 is in the hospital. Oh. But because I'm excited for my assistant principal being able to move up to the principal at Frostproof Ben Hill Griffin Junior Elementary School, so I know some that came with her. Got Deanna and Alice, they're still there as secretaries. They're kind of here for both of us, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir. And prayers to your family. Miss Melanie Oglesby, math coach at Wendell Watson Elementary School, is being promoted to assistant principal at R. Bruce Wagner Elementary.
I would like to thank the board and Superintendent Hyde for this opportunity. I'm very excited. My current leadership team and administration, Kelly Burgess and Ms. Tanya Poe-Liburd. Also, I'm excited to continue working with Dr. Ben Henry and with Mr. Miller, continuing to grow as a leader in the Polk County Schools. I have with me my 3 children. Now you guys can make noise. And my mother-in-law and my father-in-law are with me also.
Congratulations. Outstanding job. Next, Miss Lydia Roberts, PBIS facilitator for preschool programs, is now being promoted to director over MTSS, multi-tiered systems of supports.
And thank you for having me here this evening. I am very grateful for the opportunity, and I look forward to continuing the work and expanding the work of multi-tiered systems of support in academic behavior and attendance here in Polk County Schools pre-K through 12. With me this evening, I have 2 of my amazing teammates, Heather Catra and Mandy Shonrock in the back. Also, my mother is here somewhere who also works for Polk County Public Schools, Barbara Allen. And then my daughters, Nadia and Jasmine, who attend the Cambridge program at Winter Haven High School. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next is Sarah Van Hook, Assistant Principal at Willow Oak School, who's being promoted to Principal at Bartow Elementary Academy.
All right, and I prepared a little tiny speech, but I'll keep it brief. I have a little background in this situation, so I'd like to first say that I'm humbled to accept the position, so I'd like to thank Superintendent Hyde and board members. But to accept the position of principal at Bartow Academy, the school's got a piece of my heart. I'll try not to get emotional. As both my parents, my siblings, and I attended it, midway through my elementary years, it became a magnet school. And my mom began working there as a paraeducator. Throughout middle and high school, I spent countless years there volunteering and spent the first 8 years of my educational career there as a teacher. 2 of my 3 children were BEA Knights, and now my 3rd child will attend when he starts kindergarten there in the fall. In 2019, the technology lab was named after my mom. Excuse me. So sorry, who dedicated her entire career to the students of Bartow Academy. So to say that my connection, with it and the Bartow community is strong would be an understatement. Thank you. So Bartow Academy is a part of me because it's a large part of what made me who I am. Oh, I told myself I was like, I'll just read that one part, it'll be fine. So it made me who I am. I was very fortunate to even work with some of the teachers who taught me. So it does have a big piece of my heart. So as its principal, I do vow to commit my time and energy to every BEA Knight to ensure that each one has the opportunity to thrive in a safe, supportive, and engaging learning environment. So thank you, Mr. Hyde, board members, Dr. Henry, for giving me this chance. My former administrators, including, but not limited to, Ms. Borders, Ms. Jones, Ms. Butler, Ms. Weingarth-Strevels, Ms. Townley, for teaching me how to be an organized, dedicated, and above all, kind and student-centered leader. So tonight I do have several of them here with me, Allison, Amy, Ms. Townley, Dr. Henry. I've got my husband, Blake, my dad, my Aunt Diney, my mother-in-law, Kim, who used to be a Polk County administrator, Kim Van Hook, Keith, and then my kids, Cadence, Killian, Cannon, all back there as well. So thank you again. So sorry I took up more of our time tonight, but I look forward to it, and thank you again for giving me this opportunity.
Clearly we picked the right one.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Miss Laura Webster, TRST Program Specialist for Multiple Pathways, is being promoted to Assistant Director for Multiple Pathways.
Thank you. I also wrote something down because I was afraid I was going to forget. So Superintendent Hyde, Madam Chair, board members, I just want to thank you so much for this opportunity to serve our students and our district. I am, of course, thankful for the lifelong guidance of my parents, 2 of whom were lifelong educators. I wish they could all be here today to see me, but they're with me in my heart. And the unwavering support of my family and friends who are in the back. Noah, Charlotte, that's my son and daughter, my husband Brian, my stepmom, close friends. And also for the mentorship and encouragement of my boss, Mr. Stephen Cochran. I can honestly say I would not be here today if he hadn't pushed me and encouraged me. So I thank you all. Thank you so much. Proud to be here.
Great job. Ms. Cunningham?
Ms. Chapman would like to come up. Everybody's gotten a picture, which will probably be posted all over.
Oh, we wouldn't let her get out of here without getting a picture.
I just felt like she needed to get her picture.
But we'll bring her up right now and get it taken care of. Madam Chair, that concludes new administrative appointments this evening.
Thank you, Superintendent Hyde. This is the part where everybody leaves, and I don't understand why nobody wants to hang out and have fun with us. But it's the way it goes. Right?
It does. Yeah, it does. That's right. It's great.
Fred. All right. So next on the agenda is our action item Q1, which is the McLaughlin Middle School name amendment. And I think this is also an exciting announcement.
Madam Chair, members of the board, as you recall, there were 3 names that were submitted. One came from the community favorites, one came from the staff favorites, or of the community names that were being submitted, and then the last one is our traditional naming convention, which is McLaughlin. It's not high school, it'll be McLaughlin Middle High 612. The name that I am putting forward as a recommendation will be McLaughlin Academy of Excellence would be the recommendation. I think that most closely resembles the recommendation of the community. We had some concerns with using the pluralized version of academies. It quite frankly, as that school continues to grow, and they do have a few academies that they will be supporting, I think it's important to singularize that and make the name have a little bit more appropriateness. So it allows us a little bit more flexibility. So that is the recommendation before you. Once again, McLaughlin Academy of Excellence. We're going to singular, yes.
They're all under one academy.
Correct.
Sorry, I've been instructed to turn all mics on when we're voting. So all your mics are on now. So I will hear a motion to approve the recommended name amendment from McLaughlin Middle School to McLaughlin Academy of Excellence.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sharpless and Ms. Cunningham, any discussion?
I have a question.
Ms. Fields.
Superintendent Hyde, can you tell me which of the names the parents supported? Is that a part of the staff favorites?
No, the staff favorites were also one of the names that were submitted by the community. So when the staff looked at it, they tried to find one that closest resembled what we typically do at the naming convention for that typical structure of a school 612. In this case, the community feedback was the number one recommendation from the community stakeholders. Number 2 was still a community recommendation, but the staff favorite.
All right, I got it. Thank you.
Any further discussion? I was trying to hit it. Oh, sorry. Ms. Miller.
I just have a comment. I think this is part of a great legacy that we're going to see at McLaughlin Middle. I'm so proud to see Dr. Deborah Hudson, right? Or yes, I have it all right, Hudson. And I can't wait to visit your school when all this is accomplished. I always am very welcome there and feel the energy. So thank you for coming, and I'm glad the community is supporting this name change.
Well, and get them a new sign.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I'm on it.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Mr. Sharpless?
Just have to say, as a alumnus of McLaughlin, back then McLaughlin Middle School, and a former teacher at McLaughlin, this excites me. And I'm glad to see that we're using the word excellence in there, because I know excellence is going to be what happens at McLaughlin. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharpless. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Ms. Deborah Wright Hudson, would you like to say a few words? I know you hate speaking in public, so.
You never give a right on my
That's awesome.
We're gonna have to start sectioning this like they do in SeaWorld, so that if there's a likelihood that you're gonna be asked to speak, you sit on the end of the aisle.
Stand before you as a principal who can say that we've done so much transition in a little bit of time. I remember standing before you saying, hey, we're going to get a C or higher. And to stand and say we've gotten the C and we're going even higher is quite a great accomplishment. It is a school of excellence, and it's only our best is yet to come. Thank you, Superintendent Hyde, for never wavering in your support of me personally, as well as professionally, but also your commitment to all students in Polk County, and we really appreciate that. Thank you, board members, Mr. Sharpless. I've seen you so many times at the school, and I appreciate you. All board members are always welcome anytime, any day, to see the excellent education that we're providing at McLaughlin. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is Q2, and that will be Janie Howard Wilson Elementary School charter renewal. So I'll seek a motion to approve the charter renewal for Janie Howard Wilson Elementary for 5 years.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sharpless and Ms. Cunningham, any discussion? Ms. Miller.
I just want to recognize that Lakewell showed up tonight. This probably went longer than they expected, but I saw the superintendent here at one point and at least one of their principals, so I appreciate them coming and supporting what we're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Any other discussion? Ms. Cunningham.
Yes, I just want to take a moment and do a shout out to Principal Griffiths for the work that she has done this year. She's done an incredible amount of work working with her staff and her students, and we're thrilled about that. And I knew that they're going to continue to present with great knowledge, confidence, and passion. They have already made great strides and appear to have procedures and plans in place that will move them closer to their goals. I'm so excited, and obviously I'm going to support this as I seconded it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next will be Polk Avenue Elementary School's charter renewal, and I'll seek a motion to approve the charter renewal for Polk Avenue Elementary for 5 years.
Move approval?
Second.
Ms. Cunningham and Mr. Sharpless, any discussion? Ms. Cunningham?
Thank you. I just want to commend Ms. Barcenas. She's with us here tonight. Thank you for the work that you continue to do at Polk Avenue Elementary School. You have worked really hard in overcoming many of the barriers, and you make community leaders out of every one of your students. Several times throughout the years, I've been to the, is it Leader in Me? Yes, and what an inspiring time with those children. I love coming and I love being a part of that. So thank you for all the work that you've done. We continually have, we know that you're going to continue to raise the bar, and we're here to support you in every way. So thank you, ma'am, and I will support this as I made the motion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next will be Q4, Edward W. Bach Academy North Middle School's charter renewal. And I'll seek a motion to approve the charter renewal for Edward W. Bach Academy North for 10 years.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sharpless and Ms. Cunningham, any discussion? Ms. Cunningham?
Okay. If you look at the, hold on, I'm not on.
I'm not sure who's messing with.
Thank you. I'm not on again. Somebody turn me on. Sorry. Probably didn't come out right, but anyways, turn my mic on, please. Thank you. In reviewing the charter review team's recommendation to the board, for the 10-year versus 5-year contract. I will be supporting the 10-year contract. I feel very strongly that Mrs. Drisdom, wow, she's overcome an incredible amount of obstacles this year. When you think about a principal having children in different schools because of construction and on, they continue to meet the challenges and raise the bar. And I'm very proud of what she has accomplished and her team at Bach Academy North. So I want to approve their 10-year contract. That means a lot when a principal knows that they've got the school board behind them, and we are 100% because those kids are thriving every single day. So, Madam Chairman, I will be supporting a 10-year contract for Bach Academy North.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion? Sorry, I have to get the mics back on because they got messed up. All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next will be Q5, Lake Wales High School Charter Renewal. And I'll seek a motion to approve the charter renewal for Lake Wales High School for 10 years.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Cunningham and Ms. Miller, any discussion? Ms. Cunningham.
Okay, this one's near and dear to my heart. Oh, my goodness. Well, can't tell you enough what a great job Mr. Saran has done at Lake Wales High School. He had humongous shoes to fill when Miss Dunson left this summer. He has done a tremendous amount in continuing to keep the legacy alive that Miss Dunson started and continuing to weave his own personality, his own desires into that. I'm so very proud of him. And I think I can say in my heart that Miss Dunson would be so proud of him if she was sitting here tonight. So it is my desire that we continue that. We show Mr. Saran the support that we have for him and all that he's doing to continue that and then build upon the legacy that Ms. Dunson started. So I will be supporting, once again, 10-year contract for Lake Wales High School. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. Mr. Sharpless.
Yes.
Hold on just a second. Mr. Sharpless.
Want to thank Superintendent Rodolfich for being here today in the back there. As Lake Wales High School class of 2002, I can say hail to the Highlanders. But also as a former teacher there, I taught the first year that Principal Dunson was at Lake Wales High School. And I can tell you the culture, the change of the culture when she took over to even to now is tremendous. So I echo your comments, Board Member Cunningham. She would be very proud of Principal Saran, as well as Principal Barcenas, who was an assistant principal at Lake Wales High School and now is the principal of Polk Avenue Elementary. So it just thrills me to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharpless. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next on our list will be item Q6, library collections to be ordered for Scenic Terrace K8 and Elementary 21C. And I will seek a motion to approve the library collections for New School Scenic Terrace K8 and Elementary 21C.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Miller and Ms. Fields, any discussion? Mr. Sharpless.
I think that was still on there, but I will take
Oh,
it.
sorry. Do you,
Since I've got the floor, if I can ask Wes a question about this, can you tell me if any of the books being considered at all for these collections violate any state statutes, and was the process used to select these books consistent with our board policy and state statutes? And Superintendent Hyde, you can jump in there too.
I can affirm that, yes, we followed the protocol While the point was made several times tonight this evening that media specialist training was not concluded, it was concluded as of last week. However, the individuals who serve to review a school that does not yet have assigned staff. In a traditional school setting, these books would be recommended by both the media specialist and reviewed in accordance with state statute and policy by their hired staff in addition to their administrative team, and then a recommendation would come forward. This is not the case in a new opening school where the catalog is much larger. As we shared, it is a comprehensive list, but every book, with the exception of those we provided a highlighted list of, are existing books within Polk County Public Schools. You will also note that none of the previously challenged books were included in these titles. At this time, all of these books meet all of the criteria. In addition to which, the 14 books that were submitted late this afternoon as having raised concerns, you have comprehensive summaries with at least 3 reviews conducted on each to justify their presence and or inclusion within this purchase. And you have that document this evening.
That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Sharpless and Superintendent Hyde. Mr. Bridges, was there anything you needed to
I
add?
was just going to say that the question of whether if there's anything there that violates Florida law, you know, once you've completed the process, you have determined that nothing violates Florida law. But the individuals who are interested have the opportunity to challenge subsequently any books with which they disagree.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges and Mr. Sharpless and Mr. Hyde. Ms. Fields.
So I was not at the December meeting because I was sick. So I have a couple of questions directed to the superintendent. Can you explain for me and for the public who might not have been at the December meeting what the process is and what happens if we don't approve the books tonight? How does that impact the new school being able to start when school year 23-24 comes? And then the last thing is it was stated that we didn't have trained staff to review the books. Well, if we didn't have trained staff to review the books, who reviewed them?
Senior administrative staff in the Media Collections Department reviewed the books in accordance with all of the requirements outlined in both statute and in our school board policy. That's where all of this resides. As an extension of that, on our media website, we delineate step by step all of the things that have to be taken into consideration when a book is being reviewed for its inclusion and or removal. We also outline, in accordance, it was mentioned earlier this evening, we've been compliant with the statute before it was a statutory requirement that we have a published process for removing books from our library if they're not frequently utilized. And so that has been clearly delineated as well. So the individuals involved in this are district level administrative media specialist staff whose duty and responsibility is to support this. Again, they went through comprehensively, looked at existing catalog titles of which no concerns have been expressed to date over multiple years. In addition to which, they provided a highlighted list of new titles at the last board meeting. I shared that publicly. I shared it with the board. All of those titles, or let me rephrase that, the overwhelming majority of those titles were science-themed or social studies-themed titles. They talked about insects, they talked about weather, they talked about those types of things. So we did not anticipate any challenges for those materials at all. In addition to which, the books that were submitted earlier or late this afternoon to me, I shared with that same team to make sure that they double-checked because there were some concerns about whether or not it was appropriate for middle school or elementary schools. And they went back and provided all of the analysis to reassure me that they all fall within parameters. The concerns that were raised last time, and there was a great deal of discussion about it, is there is no protocol to remove books prior to their adoption. The state did not provide information or details as to how that was to be done as well. And so the whole point was the same 30 days that have been provided thus far are already included within statute and procedure. And I tried to clarify that at the last meeting, that same 30-day extension is already there, that we can adopt something, the board can approve instructional materials, it still provides the general public up to 30 days in which to submit a challenge. Even beyond that 30 days, and again, that would preclude its purchase at that time because we don't take action on that item until after that 30-day window closes. In addition to which, had we actually gone through and approved the procurement of those materials at the last meeting, we'd be at the 30-day mark now. They still have every opportunity to challenge the book at the individual school level, which is clearly delineated within our policy and again expressly delineated within statute and rule as well. So there are multiple safety guards and safety nets in place to ensure that we are compliant with the expectations.
I think the other question I had was about the timeline of the opening of the school and the books.
The second part, the media center is going to take time to pull together regardless. There's a lot of things that people don't understand, all the coding that has to go with it, the ISBN numbers, loading all of that into Destiny at the individual school section, putting it on shelves. So would it be harmful if the school opens on day one and we're still putting the library together? Because it's going to ship in bundles anyways. No, we would still be able to sufficiently address the needs of our students during the first few weeks of school, because at that point, we're really focusing on classroom instructions and policies and procedures at that point anyways. And we're using our core curriculum adoption for the most part. These are supplemental materials that students access at their own free will or during scheduled times during the school year. So, but it would delay us another 30 days. Again, if the board were to review that document that I provided for you, which was a response to the 14 titles that were initially challenged, or I would say that there was initially some voiced concerns about, I think you'll find that the staff addressed them fully. And I would continue to support their inclusion. I can't say, Ms. Fields, that there's going to be harm or damage. If the board tonight were to say we're going to extend another 30 days to allow further review, I would say I do take issue with the commentary that the board needs additional assistance with reviewing materials. That is what the school district employees are here for. And the school district employees do not operate in bad faith to put inappropriate materials in front of students.
And that's why I asked you, because I believe that wholeheartedly. And the last question that I have, to your knowledge, are any of the books that are being recommended for us to vote on tonight have anything related to CRT in them?
No, ma'am. That's the first I heard of that, because even in the comments that were submitted with the 14 titles that they initially took issue with of this new collection, that was never mentioned. Not once was that mentioned.
Thank you.
I would also point out that the statute requires those books to be reviewed by district employees.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Miller.
I just want to, I think Mr. Hyde covered a lot of it, but I can tell you from what other districts are doing, we're being asked about our processes because it's working and creating these policies and creating what we do here. Other districts are wanting to replicate that. I think we're going over and beyond what's required, and we work very closely with the state to make sure we're following guidelines and new legislation. Wendy right now is in Tallahassee. We get regular updates on things that are happening. Our staff is more than capable of reviewing books. This is what they do. This is why we hire them. And I agree with the superintendent that to go out and make sure that when questions are asked, they have those answers. And we still have the policy in place that if for any reason that you want to challenge a book or add a book to a series that your children are not exposed to, whether it's portals in a kid's book or if it's holidays your family may not celebrate, that's your right to do. And we hope you do your homework and your due diligence. This is on the parents to inform themselves on how to take efforts on their behalf and their child. But each parent gets to make that decision. We don't make that decision for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Dr. Allen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just curious. So if we do approve the books tonight, the review process at that point would be accessible.
There's a 30-day window that then gets triggered, in which anybody can submit a request or a concern related to one of the instructional materials. Beyond that, even if the 30-day window is not achievable or we don't receive any concerns within that 30-day window, our board policy and statute allows for those materials to be challenged at any time post that 30 days. So it's really an open it's an open challenge period in essence. If they were to challenge within the 30 days and the board were to uphold those concerns, because we would have to then we'd have to formalize a review and go through the review process. If the book was recommended to not be procured and the board agrees with that, then within that 30-day window, we would amend our purchase with the vendor so that book would not be purchased at that time. But again, beyond the 30 days, the book would be in the library. Then it's a request to remove the book from the shelf.
Okay. And in general, and just a comment here, media literacy skills are critical, right? I think we can all agree on that in a sense. And look, you have poured, right? Our general public has poured a lot of time into this process, and I would say thank you, right? And one resource that I have used over the years, our family has used, is Plugged In. It's a great outlet that's initiated by Focus on the Family, and they've actually started reviewing books at this point as well. And it gives us an opportunity to have dialogue within our household. I think it's a beneficial thing to all households. So, here's an opportunity to really take all of this data that you've churned on and open it up to the public, right? I don't think that's a bad thing. So I appreciate the work that was being done by CCDF on this, and thanks for the discussion. Look forward to voting on this tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Allen. Ms. Cunningham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple comments. First of all, one of our speakers indicated that out of the first 15,000 books, there were 20 that were maybe questionable or ones that they would like us to look at. So I would simply request that those 20 and that first 15,000 be provided to us at some point in time to give us an opportunity. Once again, the clock doesn't stop tonight. We still have another 30 days, and I would love it if they would let us know which 20 of those first 15,000, and essentially you really do have another month, as you've heard tonight. And I think, what is 20 out of 15,000? I don't know that I can do the math. It's a very low percentage. We have kids to educate in our schools, and we're opening schools. So I feel that we did our due diligence. We extended this 30 days to today, and now we actually have 30 more days to look at it, and I feel that everybody's wishes can be granted if we're all a little bit patient with one another, and if the folks that can identify the 20 books, if you can get those to Mr. Hyde soon, where our group can evaluate those specifically for the areas of concern, and then for those that will be reading the other group in the next 30 days to give us back information on that. And then if it needs to be challenged, so be it. I'm all about, freedom of speech and being able to do that. And so I will be supporting this vote this evening. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. Turn your mic.
Ms. Cunningham, and I apologize if I was not explicit enough. Board members, you have an Excel file that I sent to you about an hour ago that contains the first group of books that they had concerns with out of the 15,000. There were 14 titles. There were not 20, based off what I'm seeing. There were 14 titles. Our group went back in and addressed their specific concerns, and I'm happy to provide a copy back to Ms. Luce. And I apologize. I had thought that the board had received the original list. It was forwarded to me through Chair Wyatt, and so that's my fault. I did not forward that out to all of you. So I'll forward both. I'll give you, again, the staff's responses, and I'll provide you with the original list of concerns that were shared with us. But it was 14. You do have those. Yes, ma'am.
Right, and next will be Mr. Nolte.
I didn't get a chance to look at those 14, but me being an ex-physical education teacher, I know that if I'm umping or, officiating a basketball game, and one official might call it a POM, and one might call it a travel, and one might not call anything. So I'm torn about this. Again, I didn't see those 14 that you sent out late, and I apologize for that. But a lot of this is judgment calls, which is gray to one person, might be brown to another person. And I know we've got 30 days that they can also make another call on it, but we've got so many good books out there that looks like we don't really look at as close as we need to, like not really books, but Declaration of Independence, Constitution, all those good things, and we're debating over some books that are marginal. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Thank you, Mr. Nolte.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
And the motion carries 6-1. The next item on our agenda will be action item Q7. This is the pending 2023-2024 and 24-25 instructional calendars for students, teachers, and paraeducators. Before we go for a motion, I'm going to ask Superintendent Hyde to talk a little bit about this because this was added, re-added this afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the board, you're being asked to provide essentially your approval for the 2 calendar years. This is typically the timeline in which we bring calendars forward so that families can begin the process of planning vacations, other types of activities. And so I know several of you have reached out with concerns that they hadn't yet been published. And we typically do so between January and February. At the end of the day, nothing on here will change unless the board provides directive to change. The calendar committee met, and it's a very large calendar committee, and I commend everyone involved, met and reviewed both calendars in their entirety. There were minor changes made, and I can explain to you some of those changes that took place. December, for example, there was a half-day early release that was, I think it was at the second week of December. We moved that to be immediately in front of the winter break so that we would get 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks of consistent instruction without 1 week and then an abbreviated week, and then again, we're going on holiday break. So we learned from this last year based off the feedback, how do we move those? We also created more, and as an effort, we created more 5-day work weeks because the 4-day work week creates an issue, especially for our elementary schools. Anytime there's a 4-day work week, it reduces the amount of planning time for those individuals to work with their school administrators. So we found a happy balance between the two. Those things being said, I believe the only other change that was substantive, and I believe it's in year 2, was moving an early release to a Thursday immediately before, I believe it's the Veterans Day holiday. Because again, I'd rather have a 3-day work week rather than have a 4-day week and a 4-day week, and again, continuous disruptions to our learning environments. So we tried to move those around. We got great feedback about Friday early releases from both staff, from students, from parents. The only frustration we've ever heard is from my own son, who doesn't believe he should have to go on early release Fridays, but he does. And we got great feedback, and I'm gonna talk out of both sides of my mouth for a moment here. We got great feedback about the 2 planning days upon return from winter break. That staff did not feel the need to have to plan during the holiday break and take time away from their families in order to prepare for a return of students. So we got good feedback about that. The counter to that was we need to do a better job, and I know Ms. Fields and others have spoken to me about this. We need to communicate to our parents more readily and more transparently because it seemed like a much longer holiday break, and it was. It was almost 3 full weeks, and so we have to be prepared for that, and we talked about that in the calendar committee, and then how do we create better opportunities. So we felt that creating more consistency in the calendar elsewhere helps alleviate some of those concerns. And it is somewhat problematic because we can't start until the 10th, as you know, by statute. And we were trying to create calendars, and I think we were successful in 1 year to get out before Memorial Day. Because going to Memorial Day and coming back for one last day is problematic for staff and others. So we wanted to be respectful. The only thing that's not before you that's finalized is the first week of school. Nothing will change as far as the number of teacher planning days or school-directed professional development days. The only thing that the committee is still working on and will finalize on the 30th of this month is what that structure may look like, meaning we have discussed, and they were charged with coming back with several options. They were asked to come back and say, can we do a half day of professional development and then a half day of classroom planning? That stemmed from a conversation from the union group in particular, who said that they'd rather have the first planning day with their school administration so that they don't spend time setting up their classrooms only to go into a meeting with the whole school and find out, oh, we're changing directions. We want to focus on this, this, and this. And now they have to go back to their classrooms and reorganize how they're approaching instruction for those first few weeks of school. So we're trying to find that happy medium between giving teachers time to prepare their classrooms and get ready for students, and also make sure that we're doing the school culture building activities, introducing new staff, making sure that they know who to go to if there's problems, questions, or concerns. So that's all that's going to change in that first week. And I think, again, that's been a really good dialogue. PEA has surveyed their staff, and we're very much aware of any concerns there. So we're taking those in consideration. But before the board this evening are just the 2 years, and we will probably bring a third year to you in short order as well. So, but thank you for allowing me to clarify that first week.
Thank you, Superintendent Hyde. And I will seek a motion to approve the calendars for, we're not to discussion yet. We've got to get a motion first. I will seek a motion to approve the calendars for 2023-2024 and 2024-2025 for instructional calendars for students, teachers, and paraeducators, pending final approval from the calendar committee.
So move.
Second.
Dr. Allen and Mr. Sharpless. And first on the list is Ms. Fields.
Okay, I've been on the school board now for 22 years, and I've never known us to have the calendar to come to us without having discussion in a work session. I have not had time to review it. I trust the work of the committee. I was appointed to that committee at the December meeting, I believe, but I did not know about the meeting until a day or two before, which is neither here nor there. But I will not support this. I don't think that as a board member, I should vote for something I have not had time to review. I have not reviewed it, and I'm just not going to vote in support of it.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. Ms. Cunningham?
So my question is, in looking at the calendar for August of 2023, what you're saying then is, it may not necessarily be exactly as is listed here, but my question is, will school start? Because people are trying to plan vacations, and will it start no matter what on August 3rd?
Yes, ma'am.
That's really the question.
The only thing that will change
Is whether it's
of the plan.
as what happens on each day in, boy, it's so loud, in every school. Okay, that was my question. And then,
Let me reiterate, though, and clarify. If the committee were to come back and
Yes.
say, oops, we made a mistake, we want to change the start date, it absolutely nullifies anything the board's done and taken action on, and we would have to bring it back to you. So that's, there's a protection, inherent protection in there.
okay. And then secondly, we're really starting a first day of school on a Friday?
Yes, ma'am. That was recommended from transportation. Mr. Davis was insistent that we start school on either a Thursday or Friday because they need more time, and they need the weekend in particular. If you give me a moment to explain, what ends up happening is we schedule transportation based off the assumption of everyone who qualifies. During those first few weeks, we then readjust all of the transportation based off actual ridership. Mr. Davis and his team were adamant, Mr. Hyde, I really got to start on either Thursday or Friday, so I have the weekend for my team to make adjustments in our routing times to make sure we can get kids to school on time. And if you recall, at the beginning of each school year, for the first few weeks of school, in my weekly updates, in fact, in transportation, specifically transportation, I almost provide you daily updates of the timeliness of arrivals and departures, so that if you're dealing with concerns with the community, you can say, no, we have a 90% on-time delivery for our schools today. And so we try to provide you that information in real time. And you see a steady improvement each day. So that's the reason why they've requested a start date on a Friday.
Because, I mean, I would understand if it was Thursday and Friday, but this year we have 6 teacher days, not 5 like we usually have, and then only starting on a Friday. But if that's what's recommended and it's been vetted, I will support it.
And part of that, Ms. Cunningham, was to take a later professional development date, I believe it was in September. Again, to create more consistency and less disruptions to the calendar, we moved that to the start of the school year, so we get a better continuum with fewer disruptions and
Sure.
breaks.
That's great. Okay, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham and Superintendent Hyde. Ms. Fields?
And that's why we should have had a work session on this, because of the questions that's being presented. And I have heard from the community, and I've shared this with Superintendent Hyde, a lot of parents are concerned about going back to school after the holidays being out for almost 3 weeks. And some parents are saying, well, if they get out of school every other, Friday, however many, every 3 weeks, I don't know how many weeks it is in between when the early release is, well, why even bother for them to go to school? And so I think Mr. Hyde said something that was interesting, that his son wasn't excited about an early release on Friday. He wanted to stay home. Well, most people would want to stay home. And then starting the first day of school on a Friday, how many kids are going to come to school on the first day of school on a Friday? I wouldn't. But again, that's just me. I asked Mr. Hyde what would be the problem if we waited and voted on the calendar in February. And he said that it would not be a problem, but people are planning their vacation and all that, and they need to know, I think, is what he said. But if it's normally done in January or February, I don't see what the difference would be.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. Any other discussion? I'm not seeing any other speakers. I just want to thank you, Superintendent Hyde, for making sure this got back on the agenda for January. I know we had talked about it coming, and I'm not sure how it got dropped. Looking back, typically it comes to us in January or February, but typically we've already approved for 2 years. Last year, I think, is the first year we didn't approve for 2 years, which is why I want to make sure we get this approved today if possible, just to make sure that families can start to plan, because August 11th is only about 6.5 months away, which is a little terrifying. But so with no further discussion, I will seek, well, let me make sure.
You already got discussion.
Ms. Miller.
And Rob's not in the room. Has there been discussion with the start date on Friday that people won't come, so they'll make adjustments that are just going to be? Because I understand that point, that a Friday is difficult for parents. For the younger kids, I think it's great because they get one full day of practice. But if it's going to mess up our counts, I don't want them to do a bunch of work and then have to do a bunch of work later.
I would respectfully disagree that starting school on a Friday is going to have any detrimental impact on our attendance.
Okay.
That week, we also have 2 orientation nights. The first day of school, hands down, is one of the most exciting days on our campuses, where students get to come, interact with their peers, get their schedules, travel around the campus, get to catch up with each other. And I don't know that the actual day itself is going to have any adverse impact on attendance. I can't say that for sure, but I would be surprised, given that it's the first day of school. If it were any other day of school, you might be able to make an argument that after spring break, when we're in a long stretch before the end of the school year, if there were an opportunity to miss a Friday, somebody probably will and take advantage of that. And remember, this will also signal, the board had only tentatively approved the inclusion of 3 additional half-day early releases for a short period of time. So at the conclusion of the second year that you're approving today, that topic will have to come back before the board. We previously had 7, we increased it to 10 for the sole purpose of providing professional development as we transition to one-to-one, so that our staff would have plenty of time to get that training on how to use Schoology, how to use their devices, how to problem solve, get the technology assistance. And so we've been steadily chipping away and working at that. So this is, to Mrs. Fields' point, and I think some of the concerns for our community members, the early releases may or may not get shortened in the future, depending on the feedback that we get. We will survey staff and share that with you, so you can make an informed decision at the time.
Thank you, Superintendent Hyde. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
And the motion carries 6-1. And Superintendent Hyde, I'm assuming that once that is approved by calendar committee on the 30th, that will be posted publicly on our website and everywhere.
I'll send the final versions to the board, and then we will post those. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, we will now close the school board meeting and open up the public hearing. And first item on our public hearing is R1, the Attendance Boundary Committee recommendation for 21-C boundary. And I apologize, I did not call up any public comments, but that's because there were no public comment cards for the public hearing. So I will seek a motion to approve the recommended boundary for 21-C.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sharpless and Ms. Miller, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. The next item on our public hearing will be R2, Attendance Boundary Committee recommendation for Bella Cita K-8 boundary. And the recommended action will be a motion to approve the recommended boundary for Bella Cita K-8. I will seek a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Cunningham and Dr. Allen, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next will be R3, which is the Attendance Boundary Committee recommendation for McLaughlin Middle, and it's McLaughlin Academy of Excellence expansion boundary.
So moved.
Second.
And any discussion, so that is Mr. Sharpless and Ms. Cunningham. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion carries. All right, policy updates. We have several policies coming before us this evening. So the first will be policy number 2605, and I'll seek a motion to approve policy number 2605, research and evaluation.
Move to approve.
Second.
Ms. Miller and Dr. Allen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Will it pop up for these, Wendy and Yvette, or just go through them? Okay. And the motion carries. Next will be a motion to approve policy number 2111, parent and family engagement in the school program. And I will seek a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sharpless and Ms. Miller. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next, I'll seek a motion to approve policy number 6110, grant funds.
Move approval.
Second.
Ms. Cunningham and Mr. Sharpless. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next will be a motion to approve policy number 6114, cost principles spending federal funds. Any discussion? Sorry, I'll seek a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Allen and Mr. Sharpless. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next will be a motion to approve policy number 6152, student fees, fines, and charges.
Move approval.
Second.
Ms. Cunningham and Mr. Sharpless. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next, I'll seek a motion to approve the policy number 6152.01, waiver of school fees.
So moved.
Second.
I believe that was Dr. Allen and Mr. Sharpless. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Motion to approve policy number 6325, procurement, federal grants funds.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Miller and Mr. Sharpless, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion carries. And that will conclude our public hearing, and we'll reopen the school board meeting. We'll now move on to the superintendent's report. Superintendent Hyde.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I have several items for you. We kicked off Literacy Month, and I had the opportunity to read a book about an octopus, that actually Inky the octopus, it's actually a true story. In New Zealand, a number of years ago, the staff came in and noticed some strange marks and footprints on the floor. The octopus had actually figured out how to escape, got into a drain, and got out to the bay. And so they wrote a story about this, and it includes some fun facts. So we actually did that as a read aloud. The team videotaped it. It's amazing. I do not do it justice as a reader, but I will tell you, our tech team and everyone else did an amazing job with the graphics, so that we could make it interesting for our students. We've had great feedback from our elementary teachers, and I have an email I have to read from this evening as part of the superintendent's report. But we were so satisfied with it, we're going to add more books. And so, quite frankly, there may be an opportunity if one of you wants to read. We would provide you with a material of your choice. The only thing we ask is at the end you come up with some interesting facts to challenge the kids with, and that was really nice about this book, is it had a lot of great scientific facts at the end, and I did issue a challenge. And I want to give a shout out to Michelle Williamson from Bartow Elementary Academy, because she wrote to me and she said, "Mr. Hyde, my kids really loved the story you read this morning. We did some research and my kids wanted to share these fun facts back with you. The arm of a Pacific octopus, when stretched all the way out, is as long as a minivan, and that came from Paisley. Not only does the arm of an octopus move, but the suckers move as well, and that's from Javion. Octopi are masters at camouflage," said Jace. "After the blue-ringed octopus gives birth, she dies." Luke. The blue-ringed octopus is a very small octopus, and it's one that's so toxic to human beings, it can actually cause you to die and go into shock. And it's quite interesting, but it's very small. But after she gives birth, she dies. It's a beautiful colored octopus. Octopi are thought to be one of the smartest creatures on Earth. That's from Lawton. And if an octopus loses an arm, they can grow it back. And that's from Matthew. And they said, "Thank you for the story to kick off Literacy Week. We really enjoyed it." Shelley Williamson, Bartow Elementary Academy, third grade teacher. I also have some other good news with the superintendent's report. We're working currently with the Florida Prepaid Scholarships Organization. They will provide, I believe it's $20,000 in scholarships for our students. More information will come. They're going to provide us with two $8,000 scholarships, and we will have the opportunity to develop the criteria and select the students that we will award that to. I believe that those go to kindergartners, and then there's four $1,000 scholarships that go to other students, pre-K kindergartners as well. And so we'll develop the criteria for that. So you'll hear more about that at an upcoming meeting. And then finally, I will be traveling this week. We have been asked, interestingly enough, after tonight's topic, I have been asked to present in front of the House Education Quality Subcommittee, because they have been very satisfied with our book process. And they're very excited about our video that we put together and how well it walks parents through the process of opting their child out of books. So I will be presenting to that committee later this week. So it's an exciting opportunity for us to get our information out there. And we're one of, I believe, 3 or 4 school districts that were invited to present on our processes. And finally, Madam Chair, which is typically the order of business under the superintendent's report, the next work session will be held on February 14th, 2023. The work session will begin at 9 a.m. This meeting will be held at the district office located at 1915 South Floral Avenue in Bartow. And that concludes the superintendent's report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Superintendent Hyde. And next, we'll go to Mr. Bridges for the attorney's report.
Florida Statute 286.011 authorizes the board to meet privately with a counsel to discuss matters about litigation strategy and settlement negotiations, provided that I notice you in public that I need your advice on such a matter, and that such a meeting opens and closes during a regular public meeting of the school board. The entire proceeding will be recorded by a court reporter, and the transcript will become a matter of public record at the end of litigation. But we'll set that up for the next school board meeting or work session, wherever it fits best, and I'll provide for the notice. But I did need to advise you that in a public meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges. All right, next will be Ms. Cunningham for school board report.
Oh, I'm ahead of you, Dr. Oh, no.
He got bumped down the line.
He got bumped, oh, no. Okay, so I just have a quick thing. I know most of us received the State of the Arts report from our wonderful staff, and I just want to do a shout out to Beth Cummings, our Director of Fine Arts, to Nancy Puri, our Senior Coordinator of Visual Arts, Jessica Fredericks, our TRST Elementary Music, Chuck Fulton, TRST, Secondary Instrumental Music, and Stacy Mallard, Fine Arts Specialist. And I'm just, as you sit back, travel the district, go to the different arts-oriented plays, musicals, chorus performances, guitar, and on, band. Please, we just had the band. It's amazing, and I'm so grateful to be part of a district who continuously understands the need for the arts. And I would love to say this, but I found this quote, and I think it really exemplifies where Polk County Public Schools lies. And let me read it. It is imperative that all students have access to an equitable delivery of arts education that includes dance, media arts, music, theater, and visual arts that supports their educational, social, and emotional well-being, taught by certified professional arts educators in partnership with community arts providers. And that's from Arts Education is Essential from the National Arts Organization in the United States. I just felt that that really kind of summed up why the arts are so important. And I can honestly say we're really blessed. I can, having been on this board now over 18 years, we have never, ever looked at removing arts from schools. All we've tried to do is continue to provide that for our students. Because as a teacher educated me years ago when I first got elected to the board, she said to me, come into my classroom and let me show you the difference that art makes. And there was a child there who could not connect with the other kids. That young lady was nonverbal. That young lady wasn't sure why she was sitting actually in that classroom. And when she handed her a piece of paper and a pencil or a crayon, that child drew some of the most beautiful pictures that I had ever seen for a child in the 3rd grade. So we learn math, science, and different skills, and we learn them in different ways. And if we can positively impact a child by finding a place that they belong in our system through all of the arts programs that we offer, I consider that we've done our job. So I just want to compliment those folks that work in those departments and offer that to our students around the county. It's just a shout out and a thank you. And that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. Mr. Nolte?
Yes, thank you. I agree with everything Mrs. Cunningham said. That's really beautiful about the arts. I attended the Bartow Academy community meeting where they went through different items that they were looking for in the new principal, and it looks like they definitely found a good one tonight. I also attended the Polk State College. They had a panel discussion. Several of us were there, and that was quite interesting. I remember back in the day, it was just Polk CC, right? Yeah, Polk Community College. Right. Also, I attended the ribbon cutting ceremony at Bartow High School. It's amazing. When I used to drive past Bartow High School 30 years ago on my way to Bartow Golf Course, and then I've played some golf with a gentleman out there that we celebrated tonight. A great man. And then when I drove up there the other day, I couldn't believe how it looked like a little university. Bartow High School, it's incredible. They've done a great job on that, and I really appreciate all the things this board and our superintendent has done to improve the schools in Polk County, and I look forward to working with everybody and doing bigger and greater things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nolte. Ms. Fields?
I just have a couple of items. One of them is just basically congratulating Mr. Dixon on being recognized in observance of Black History Month. And Black History Month is very important. And I'm not sure if you all are aware that there was an effort by the College Board to have an advanced placement African American Studies class available to our schools, and it was rejected by the Florida Department of Education with no reason for that. So Black history is history, and it's important. And we need to celebrate. We celebrate others during the year. And I hope and pray that we will continue to honor and celebrate February as a month for Black History Month. And the other item that I have is Kathleen High School is making a conscientious effort to invite alumni and the community to an event on February the 17th. They're looking at not necessarily revising their logo, but maybe making some adjustments to their logo, and they want feedback from the community and from the folks who are graduates of Kathleen High School. So it is February the 17th at 6 p.m. at their auditorium. So we want to get out to all the community so we can hopefully have some good discussion, and then they'll be able to move forward with that. And that's those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. Dr. Allen? I'll go last.
All right. So as we continue to build more choice options and rigorous pipelines, I just wanted to draw attention and congratulate Principal Sloan at Southwest Elementary for her passionate pursuit of building our very first ever pre-academy at the elementary level. And then on top of that, it's in digital media, which I'm very excited about it because it's a very highly STEM-oriented option for our kids. Pretty exciting opportunity there at Southwest Elementary. Next, I wanted to say, go Jackets. Yeah! As Bartow High celebrating, obviously my alma mater, class of 1992, just celebrated 30 years. But they celebrated the completion of their Phase 2 modernization, and that was a more than $60 million investment to complete their master plan. Pretty exciting for Bartow and just in general Polk County Public Schools. And then also I just want to say a job well done to our newest board member, Justin Sharpless. Early this morning, he was out in the arena at the Polk County Youth Fair, just working hard and serving our district very well. His voice just echoed very loud and clear over the PA as he was announcing each participant at the pig sale this morning. And I would just say, by the way, you have a great radio voice, Justin. And then lastly, I don't know if you celebrated this week, but it was National Handwriting Day. In my hand this evening, I do have the Blackwing Palomino, and if you did not know that they originally had a patent on the adjustable eraser. So I'm going to leave you with my pencil stat this evening. Did you know that pencil users are 22% more likely to bike to work than gel pen users? Did you know that, Wendy? So
That study.
there you go. That concludes my report.
Who studied that? Mr. Sharpless.
I want to start off my report by thanking all the individuals who attended my District 6 listening tour. There is one stop we are going to reschedule, and that's Frostproof. It was the first day back for students, and so it just really wasn't good logistics and bad planning on my part to have it that day. So we're going to reschedule that. But all the other ones, it's great to hear from my constituents. Got to say, Dr. Allen and I attended the reception and awards ceremony for the new student exhibition of artwork at the Polk Museum of Art, which was entitled Transcendence. I also saw Superintendent Hyde there as well. I just got to say, we have some talented artists in our district, truly. They were also very respectful students and just academically just great. I also enjoyed meeting with the recent class of Leadership Lakeland in a panel with 4 other of my school board members here. I gotta say, our community's in good hands with these leaders. And along with Dr. Allen and Mr. Nolte and Superintendent Hyde, I was able to attend the ribbon cutting ceremony as well at Bartow High School's Phase 2 modernization and the dedication of the Bartow High School Veterans Memorial. I came away very impressed with both the modernization and the memorial. I want to give a huge thank you to all the Legacy Next partners that are involved with that project, but specifically A special thank you to the Hal and Jenny Wallace family and the John and Terry Frost family for the significant impact they made on those projects. But last, but certainly not least, Dr. Allen did allude to this earlier, but this week is the Polk County Youth Fair, one of my favorite weeks in the entire year. As a former ag educator myself here in the district, I got to say, these students put in a lot of hard work, and it's great to see that work come to fruition. Go out and support it. It's located at 1702 Highway 17 right here in Bartow. They auctioned 402 pigs off today. 402 students that had a pig. That was great, as well as cakes. And on Friday, they're going to auction off plants. So some of our green thumb horticulturalists in the district, as well as some steer projects. So please make sure to get a chance to go out there. This is not a traditional fair where there's a midway. This is solely focused on the students, and that's what I love about our fair. And so, yeah, I just encourage you to go out and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharpless. Ms. Miller?
Thank you, Chair Wyatt. I just have a couple of things. First, the last couple of months, personally, we've had a lot of struggles and health struggles and stuff in my family, and I want to thank Chair Wyatt and Board Member Sharpless for reaching out in support of that. That's great when your colleagues are interested in you beyond this desk, so I appreciate the camaraderie here. I have Polk Education Foundation is where I serve, and I'll be missing the meeting tomorrow. I'm going to Tallahassee on some disability work, which is my other life other than education. But our first board meeting for the year is tomorrow. But I do want to let people know that if you have a senior, go to our website and search PEF and have them fill out the scholarship information. It's not one scholarship. They fill out the information, and if they need to stop and come back, it saves it. They can come back when they get all them whatever they need. But they can apply to lots of scholarships. And there's money left on the table sometimes with these scholarships. Please make sure that your seniors, no matter what their interests or academics, there's always something for students. So check out, you can find it, you can just search Polk Education Foundation, or you can go to our website and search PEF, and they will it'll come up and you'll be able to fill out those scholarships. Also, I cannot wait for March 31st. That is the second annual night shoot where we're going to sell out and raise lots of money for kids. The board is welcome to join. I did for the first time shoot clays last year with the superintendent and his family, and it was a good time. I think we did better than I thought we would. But we'd love to have a board team. We've talked about it in the past, so I'll throw that out there for anybody who wants to shoot clays or learn to shoot. It's at 5:30 March 31st. Also on the Polk Education Foundation website, you can sponsor that as a corporation. We have a lot of community support that come out, and I'm really surprised how some of our financial advisors are great marksmen. So come out and support students on March 31st, the Polk Education Foundation. And I just want to say to parents mentioning tomorrow, I didn't mention it earlier, and the superintendent has already mentioned it. He has been invited to come and present based on the programs we do here for parents, giving them the rights with the books and just being involved in their students' education. If we were for 1 second violating state statute or doing something that was not appropriate, I guarantee our superintendent would not be asked to come to Tallahassee. So I want you to know I want you to feel confident in what we're doing here and the professionals we employ. And we're always here for questions, and I think you're going to find that what we do here is probably more extensive than other districts are providing, and we're proud of that. As a former parent advocate who sat through IEP meetings and tried to inform parents, this is the first time in the last 20 years I've seen this district so involved with trying to partner with parents. And so thank you for the superintendent traveling to Tallahassee. I wish I could go see that, but I'll be doing other work. And again, some of us will be returning for Polk Days in March, which is scheduled in the middle of spring break. So there are some dedicated board members that will leave their families to go represent you in Tallahassee to help share our story and our legislative platform. But I think that's all I have. Thanks so much, Chair Wyatt.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. I'm really glad you've decided to go to Polk County Days.
I was
Thanks
not
for hanging out
going
with
to.
me.
Thank you for talking me into it.
All right, and so, see, this is why I go last, because most of you have already said the great things happening. So we got to speak to Leadership Lakeland, which was just cool to hear some of their questions. I think the best way to find out what the real problems are in the district is to have a conversation with parents and community members or to have a conversation with students. So we get to learn a lot of the things that are going on that we just don't get to see every day. Next, I just want to make sure all of you are aware Superintendent Hyde will be speaking at a Lunch and Learn for the Winter Haven Chamber on February 6th. I just want to read you the reviews he is expecting. So, Finally, I feel good about public education again, from the New York Times. Making lemonade out of lemons, the evolution of a public school system, from the Chicago Times. And excellence requires risk and honesty. This presentation has both, from the Lakeland Ledger. So I've been told it will not disappoint. I highly encourage you attend. And then last but not least, I just want to say thank you to the board members who have signed up to go to Tallahassee in March. If you are considering going and have not already signed up, please make sure you've talked to Yvette so that she knows you'll be attending. And that concludes my report. We'll now go on to public comment for non-agenda items. So just as before, to register to speak, community members must have filled out a card in the lobby prior to the meeting. All speakers will be given 3 minutes. The light will turn yellow when you have 1 minute left, and you will hear a beep when your time is concluded. Please note that although the board encourages community participation, no immediate action will be taken on items presented during this public comment portion of the meeting. If follow-up board action is required, then the matter may be placed on an agenda at a subsequent meeting in accordance with school board policy. So first will be Bernard Wells, and on deck is Bishop Willie Mincy.
Wells. Inquiring minds would like to know that if parents have been made aware that there were students with disabilities at a school that did not receive ESE services to the tune of 18,000 hours. It is doubtful that the school district has granted these students with compensatory services that is due to them because of the services not being provided. Superintendent Hyde's contract, section 4.5, states that it is his duty to ensure that faculty, parents, and students receive timely information about students' learning requirements, academic standards, and all other local, state, federal administrative requirements and decisions. The key word here is timely information. It is questionable that compensatory services to these students has been in a timely manner. Also, there are students that are not receiving speech and language services, with some schools not having a speech and language pathologist to serve these students, and there is no known comprehensive plan in place for these students receiving compensatory services. In addition, knowledgeable ESE personnel are leaving the district in record numbers unlike any prior years, seemingly because of lack of knowledge by and because of leadership. An example of this would be a recent Channel 8 On Your Side news report that provided misleading information about ESE initial evaluations that was disseminated in the viewing community. Furthermore, the outside leadership that has been brought into Polk County gives the impression that there was no one within district that was qualified for upward mobility and further adds to the already existing low morale. Also, there is a concern that within the behavior units that are set up, it appears to be a school-to-prison pipeline. It is everything, anything, but creating a portrait of a graduate. How many minority students, how many students will be locked up in the legal system continuing this pipeline within 5 years? I suggest you check your data. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Bishop Mincy.
Well, I haven't been before y'all in about 6 or 7 months or more. So to all of you board members tonight, I come to bring warning to you because I see you sit on the kiosk and you all look glamorous and you say a lot of glamorous things. But we're in trouble. And the judgment of God is going to come to Polk County Public Schools. Now, you may not agree with me, but there are things that are happening. I've talked with Mr. Hyde, and I don't know if he listens to me or not. I don't talk to you all because I don't believe y'all believe in me. But I come because I'm concerned about all of these children And you board members, listen at me well. You need to get out and go to your district and see your people and listen at what they say. You hired Superintendent Hyde. Superintendent Hyde hired people. And you all are hired by us. We voted for you. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Get ready now. People will show you what they'll do. Old mother in my church told me years ago, people will show you better than they can tell you. So when election time comes, don't cry. Don't cry. Just know that somebody have seen something about you that they didn't like. So they're going to go get somebody else and put them in your chair. It's time out. People are hurt. People are hurting. And it's sad. Some of you all don't go nowhere. I go to these schools and I'm listening and I'm hearing from teachers, from principals. They're hurting. All they need is just for you to come there and say a word of encouragement. It's a struggle. Yes, it is a struggle. Some of them being cursed out by parents and teachers. And you all don't even think of it. Right in your town, some of you could go right down the street and see something about it, but you don't care about it. It's glamorous to sit on the podium. But the judgment, God will bring the judgment. I'm gonna stay on my knees like I told you all. I'm gonna stay down there. And I'm gonna keep telling them about it. And one day soon, watch my word and see what will not come to pass to Polk County Public Schools, because God is not going to allow this to continue. God bless you.
Thank you, Bishop Mincy. Seeing no further business to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned.